Hi, this is Kerala again. Do you see what I wrote on the board? I wrote the word Epiphany. I had an epiphany. That is, what I was doing is I was reviewing the videos that I had already done on the direct object and the indirect object. Right? And I was just reviewing when I got it. Se cayó el 20. Ya, entendí. Right? I got it. And what I got, and this is after years, I'm telling you, when I say years, I mean years of studying why sometimes when it looks obvious that an object pronoun is direct, in certain versions of Spanish, it's used, the indirect pronoun is used. Now, like once again, I'm not talking about the me, the te, the nos. And for those who use vosotros, I'm not talking about the vos. Okay? I'm talking about the lo, la, las, los, las versus the le and the les. And I remember I would knock my head in because I said to myself, I know they're saying something more than what they're saying. I know there's a subtext there. But I didn't get the subtext. I knew enough to know that there was a difference. What I didn't know was what was the difference. And it kills me when I don't understand the nuance of a language. Because to me, that's what makes a language, the nuances, the subtext, the saying by not saying. So let me explain what I'm talking about. In one of the videos that I did on the direct or indirect object, I talked about that sometimes in certain versions of Spanish, and let me stand this way, instead of using lo bio, and this is with an direct, the verb bear, this is what the verb bear, which means to see, normally takes a direct object. But what happened is, bio, but what happened is that in certain versions of Spanish, if the object is male, singular, and animate, that is, if it's human, then it takes, instead of lo, which is a direct object, it takes le, which is normally used for indirect objects, like le di, le dijiste, right? Because those are indirect objects. So I kept saying to myself, why? Why in certain versions of Spanish, and I've heard both, why? And then I got it. If it's a male, right? Now, the part about being singular, that I don't get. But if it's a male, one of the definitions of being a male is not to be powerless, right? So, this is where culture and language come together. Because an indirect object implies that the object really is powerless. He or she really doesn't have anything to do about the action that is in which he or she is participating. So if I or if he sees him or she sees him, in a sense, he really doesn't have anything to do with it. But that implies not having power. If one of the definitions of being a male is that you always have power, even if it's the most minimum amount of power, then of course, certain versions of Spanish is going to recognize that. So therefore, it can't be lo bio or lo bi. Because somehow, some way, that object, that male, controlled, had some kind of control. So it makes sense, here it is, that if the object is male, human. Now the part about being singular versus plural I don't necessarily get, but according to the rules, and singular, even if normally that particular verb takes an direct object, if it's male, singular, and human, in that case, it will take the indirect object. So you will see les bio or les bi, right? Les bi or les bio, whatever verb you want to use, right? That's direct. And for the male, it'll be les. But if I were talking about the female, then it's la. La bi, la bio, la biste. Why? Because one of the definitions of a female is not power. Beauty may be one of the definitions, right? Submission, being submissive may be one of the definitions, but power is not one of the definitions. So, only in substandard Spanish, or very regional, very colloquial Spanish, would you be able to translate les bio as being either male or female? Normally, it's only male. And if you're talking about, you saw her, then it goes back to the direct object. Isn't that interesting? Direct object pronoun. Isn't that interesting? I always tell my students, and because I think this is very important, that you can never learn a language if you do not understand anything about the country or the culture in which that language functions. You must understand at least something, right? I've lived in Latin America long enough that I know that although it's changing, should I use the word machismo? Should I use the word male dominance? It's still very strong, right? It's still very strong. So if women go out, they're solas, right? A man goes with them and they're acompañadas, right? So it's still very, I say very strong. And if you go to the provincia, it's very, very, very strong. I'm not going to have time to go into this right now and this, so I'm going to go into these two parts in another video. But I think it's interesting because my epiphany wasn't just as far as gender was concerned, it's also far as class is concerned. Class is concerned. So in another video, we'll talk about lo llevé versus le llevé. Okay, once again, this is Corella Ficklin McLean at iStudyGuides.com. And if you want to see a lot of my videos, especially the later videos, not the one in which I have my hair all over my head, but the later videos, you can go to a website and it's called Anywhere.com. Let me tell you how I spell anywhere. It's one of my play on words. It's I-N-I-W-H-E-R-E, right? And this is a play on words because I'm playing with the sound. This is not how you spell anywhere. We all know that anywhere is spelled A-N-Y-W-H-E-R-E. But I'm playing with the sound because if you were told, pronounce this word, I-N-I is pronounced exactly like A-N-Y in English, so anywhere. So you can go to anywhere.com and you can look at my videos. If you want to look at the latest videos, you should go to page 6, 7, and 8. The other videos are much, much earlier. And now, like I said, my hair was all over my head, and I look like, I look like with my hair over all my dreads all over my head. So once again, this is Corella Ficklin McLean at iStudyGuides, Pedians.com, a lot of different websites because we have a lot of sites in a network. So thank you, and I'm going to leave this on the board for you, and I'll leave this anywhere, and you can see the play on words. Thank you.